Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll be making this beautiful short dress. I'll be working on the skirt part of this dress first. My fabric is already folded into four. Make sure the width is wide enough to take your hip measurement and the allowance you'll be adding to it. So because I'll be working on the skirt part first, I'm going to minus the length of the half length I'll be using. First of all, I'm going to roll out this straight line as my starting line. Then I'm going to minus 15 inches from it because that will be the length of my half length. So I'm going to minus to 15 inches and I'm going to take the length of this dress. The length I'll be making use of is 32 inches. I'm going to mark it down and I'm going to roll a straight line across the dot I made. So the way I folded this fabric, the back piece is the one down and the front is the one on it. That is my zipper allowance. So ignoring the zipper allowance from the front piece, I'll start taking my body measurements. So on the starting line, I'm going to mark down my waist measurements divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then from my waist to my hip is 9 inches, which I just marked down. Then I'm going to roll out a straight line across the dot I made. Then on that line, I'm going to take my hip measurements divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance also. Then at the bottom on the length of the skirt, I'm going to minus 1 inch from my hip measurement and I'm going to mark it down there. Then I'm going to connect all the dots together. Now I'm going to cut out the excess part of the fabric and I'm going to notch the center of the front piece. So from the length of this dress, I did not cut out the excess fabric of 3 inches. So I'm just going to notch the length where the length of my gown is, the 33 inches I marked. I'm going to notch that part. Then the excess fabric that is remaining, I'm going to fold it in with my lining. To get my dart at the top of the fabric, I'm going to mark down my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2. That is my bust span. So I'm going to notch that part. I'm going to put all the fabric together, both the front and the back, and I'm going to notch that part so I'll be able to trace it when I'm sewing it. So that's it for the dart. On my zipper allowance, I came out by half an inch from the bottom and I connected it to the top like this. This is the fabric I'll be using for the half length. It's already folded into 4. Make sure the width is wide enough to take your bust measurements and the allowance you'll be adding to it. The back piece is the one down with my zipper allowance while the front is on it. So ignoring the zipper allowance, I'll start taking my measurements. On the top of the fabric, I'm going to mark down my shoulder measurements divided by 2. Then I'm going to minus 1.5 inches from my shoulder measurement, which I got 6.5 inches. So I marked down 6.5 inches at the top for my shoulder. Because this is an off shoulder gown, I'm going to be minusing 5 inches from the top before taking my measurement. So from my shoulder to my chest line is 8 inches, which I just marked down. Then from my shoulder to my bust point is 10 inches, which I also just marked down. Then the half length from my shoulder to my waistline is 14 inches plus the 1 inch I'll be adding to it as my seam allowance. So making the half length 15 inches. So I'm going to roll out a straight line across all the dots I've made. On my chest line, I'm going to mark down my bust measurements divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then I'm going to connect the bust measurement on the chest line to my shoulder measurement like this. So the width of my shoulder line is 6.5 inches. So I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the depth of my neckline. Then I'm going to connect it to my shoulder line like this. On my waistline, I'm going to mark down my waist measurements divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then I'm going to connect it to my bust measurements on my chest line like this. So I'm going to cut out the excess part of this fabric. For the that, I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2. Then I'm going to mark it down. So I'm going to notch that point that I marked down so I'll be able to identify the dart on my fabric. This is the adjustment I'll be making on my zipper allowance. I'm going to be going up by 1 inch on the zipper allowance. Then I'm going to trace my dart up because I'll be cutting that part out. So I'm going to take my roller and connect the 1 inch to the other side of the fabric like this in a slanted way. Then I'm going to cut that part out and re-notch my darts. So this is what I have for the half length. When I open the front piece up, this is what it's looking like, and the back is splitted into 2. So I went ahead to cut out a lining piece for the skirt part of this dress. You can see the length of the lining is stopping at the actual length of this dress. So I'm going to open up my fabric like this. The right side of the fabric is the one on top, and I'm going to place the lining on the right side of the fabric. Then I'm going to sew it from the bottom on a straight line. I'll start joining from the bottom. Even the back piece of the skirt is splitted into 2. I have 2 linings for it also. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to join them from the bottom before joining the sides. I also did the same thing for the half length. These are the lining piece for the back. The back is splitted into 2, so I have 2 lining for it. I'm going to join the neckline area, the armhole and the sides, but I'm not going to join the bottom. Even the front also, even the front piece of the half length, this is what is looking like when I open it up, and this is the lining piece. So I'm going to join the neckline area, I'm going to join the armhole and the sides together, but I'm not going to touch the bottom as well, and I'm going to turn it over to the right side. So I'm done joining the lining piece, and I went ahead to take in my darts for both sides. So this is the back, the 2 back, and this is the front piece. I took in the darts for the front piece as well, and this is what I have. So before taking the dart, I top stitched both the bottom of the front and the back piece. So this is the front piece of the skirt part of this dress. I've gone ahead to join the lining piece to it, and I turned it to the right side. I top stitched the top, and this is what I have. This is the back also. I did the same thing for the back. So you can see that I drew in the 3 inches allowance I added to the bottom with my lining piece, and this is what I presently have. I did the same thing for the front and the back piece as well. So this is what I have. Before I join my half length to my front piece, I'm going to take in the darts for both sides of it. After taking the darts, I'm going to join it together on a straight line like this. So I'm done taking in the darts, and I join them together. I make sure both the darts for the down part and the front part is matching. I did the same thing for the back, and I added my zipper to it. So this is what I have. I'm going to place the 2 right sides of the fabric on each other like this, and I'm going to take my body measurements on both sides of the dress. On the top, I'm going to take my bust measurements on my chest line. Then on my waist, I'm going to take my waist measurements, and on the hip part, I'm going to take my hip measurements. This is the fabric I'll be using for the sleeves of this dress. The length is 31 inches. It's folded into 2. When I open it up, the width is 11 inches. So you can increase the length of the sleeve to as much as you want. It depends on how full you want your sleeves to look. So I'm going to hem this fabric round. I'm going to hem the sides, the up and the down parts. After the hemming, this is what I have. I'm going to fold the fabric into 2 equal parts like this. So when I fold the 2 fabric into 2 equal parts. This is what I have. So at the top of the fabric, after I folded it into 2, I'm going to fold it like this also as well, and I'm going to top stitch it to the end of the fabric in order to create a channel for an elastic band to pass through. It's folded into 2 and I folded it over like this, and I'm going to run a straight stitch on it to the end of the fabric. So I'm done creating the channel on the fabric, and this is what the fabric is presently looking like. This is the elastic band I'll be passing through the channel. The length of this elastic band is 8 inches. So I'm going to pass it through the channel with this pin like this. So I'm going to pass it through the channel, then I'm going to stitch both sides of the fabric after passing the elastic band through it to secure the elastic band inside it. So I'm done with the sleeves, and this is what I have. So I'm done closing up both sides of the dress, and this is what is presently looking like. So I'm going to bring in the sleeves that I'll be using. So I'm going to place the right side of the sleeve on the right side of the main dress like this, and I'm going to pin it to this part of it like this. I'm going to pin the sleeves like this to this part, and I'm going to stitch it down. Then I'm going to take it to the back also. Then I'm going to place the right side of the sleeve on the back as well, and I'm going to pin it down. After I pin it down, I'm going to stitch it to it also, and I'm going to do the same thing for the other sleeve as well. So with this, we have come to the end of this video. I hope this video was helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe to this channel if you're not yet a subscriber. Now see you guys in my next video.